We know at some point, really soon, we're going to need some titanium white. We may also use our initial burnt red. So right now it's just these two reds that make them up. A little yellow. I may authorize myself to go back in time and use transparent black for any pen washing that I need to reinforce. Let's put a little water down in the corner of the wet palette. A little flow improver in the top quadrant. You may need it. Move some shit around. Gosh, just put black on my hand. About to fuck up my model. Okay. So we're going to get into the business of this leg right here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up some glazing. Get a little water from my corner. And so again, there is a top coat of this Bold Power Red already on the guy from airbrushing. So we're going to just water it down to a semi-opaque state. And we're going to just use our small brush and probably just kind of see, look at the quadrants in here. See, there's like a pizza slice right here. And I'm just going to kind of stipple right in here just to kind of like work that pizza slice saturation to be a little bit more red right there. Right there. And see that it's really easy to do because it's right over the already existing exact color relationship. So we're able to just kind of enhance the overall saturation of the red. Kind of going slice by slice, just with some stippling. And it gets a lot redder, you see, as it takes on that filter. And because I don't want it to be, desaturated, I just want it to be dark. And using some lines right there. His knee, the same thing. We're just going to lay it down on his knee. And now what we're going to do is just take some of the dark red, the burnt red.
And his name is John C.
Love Minis 440. Vaults that run the factories. What is... Oh, is it 440 volts that run the factory? Love Minis, break that one down for me. Let me get some strong exclamation point beast mod in the chat while we pick up some of this burnt red. And we're going to just kind of deliberately stipple it kind of to help establish a little bit of a transition right here on that pizza slice. That's a little darker red up top. Stipple some right here, so it's a little darker right here. Down here. This is the darker red. Right here. And so there's like these slices have a little bit of drama in them now. Right there. Let's go back to that knee pad. Let's get the bottom of that. And it's just a low opacity glaze right there. You see it just sticks because the paint's already there. Like your coverage isn't a question anymore. Well, Pigment, your wife gets weird with the 666. Does she see like a credit card statement every now and then with a bunch with 666 on it? Let's go back to the Bull Power Red. And let's just stipple in again. And I just want to make sure these pizza slices look their best. Right there. So again, that's low opacity. With lots of water in the mix. Using some heart pull strategy right here. Just to kind of get those tips to look a little bit better. And I'm really taking my time to curate this leg because it is the front viewing angle and I want it to look real good. I'm even going to run a seam right here. Well, it's, you know, semi-opaque. Now I'm gonna get a little bit more opaque, right? I'm gonna deliberately. I'm gonna use a low flow improver to keep it from drying on my tip. I'm gonna use a lot more opacity, a lot less moisture. We're gonna use the tip. We're gonna rotate and look for some quick little heart pulls here on the folds. That edge right there. See, which is bringing it up, building up that respect. Love minis. Most factories have building electric of 440 volts. And have step up and step down transformers for other needs. I did not know that. I was 8 years old. The gentleman, what's up, brother? War Pigment, it's all good. Bonet hates it too. She's always like, one day it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. Okay, let's add some white to the mix. Semi-opaque, but mostly dry. And we use a little heart pull right here, light brush pressure. We're gonna rotate. Right there, kind of get that seam. It's a little aggressive, but that's what I expect right now. Cosmic 3D Net, what up, brother? It's that War Pigment. Nice. Okay, let's work that out real quick. Okay, so see, they're very aggressive. They're disrespectful. So let's go back to some Bull Power Red. Lower the opacity again. Okay, a little bit of moisture. Take some moisture off. And let's just kind of work. Right over that white strip. And just blend it out. And we're using a low opacity filter to achieve this kind of blurring effect. See? And now what we'll do is just take our transparent yellow. Got a little hair in the tip. A little transparent yellow. And we're just going to hit directly on the seam with a little yellow filter right there. And just be patient. And it's going to heat up that line. Take it off of the yellow. Or take it off the white. And there you go. And again, like his muscles are a lot more subtle than that, but we are absolutely dramatizing his overall jackness, you know?
Milk was a bad choice.
That's my man Jay Duval. Jay DZ in the chat. 2x yo DZ is loving those reds. Thanks for teaching us all these good cheats. I got you, brother. Thank you for the support. When am I gonna go see 40K Sue Love minis? I actually have an app on my phone. 13 days, February 26th. That's my flight. So I will have to announce the last day of this month. I'm gonna miss a Saturday and a Tuesday. Now, just to reinforce what I'm talking about is like, so those black lines can be reinforced now because I did get some glaze on them. So let's take a little transparent black very carefully. And let's see if we can find a safe angle to heart pull from. Right there. Rebuild that black to be more aggressive. Because comics. I'm going to throw a little bit right here. Rotate, look for that heart pull. Pull straight back to your heart. Light brush pressure. Rinse the brush. Get that black off of it. What do you think about that one, Jay Duval? Okay, so, and I'm just jumping around for my own pleasure. So we're going to, got still black on the brush. Let's go back to our white red, which is just chilling right here. Mostly opaque and dry. Not enough, so might have to mix up a little bit more. A little bit of flow improver helps the tip stay dry, or keep from getting dry. But since you're working with so much tip, it dries faster. Little heart pull right there. And so just always take a second to reset it. If it's not transferring. Get those fabric folds. Right there. Now we want to get the undershelf right here. Rotate like this, get the top of the knee. Let's rinse it up. Let's run it back to bold pyral. Again, lower the opacity. Right, so we're making it low opacity with water. Just wipe some of that excess water off your brush, and let's just stipple in here because it can be a little smoother right here. Right there. I don't think I need to do much on the smaller lines. I think it's fine. So let's just get the red off our brush. Let's pick up some of that transparent yellow. You warm up those lines. Like so. Pow. Thank you, JD Vol. Now, this little patch right here, what I'll do is I'll grab the Bull Pyro again, a little bit of the white mix, just so it's a brighter. And I might even just send yellow into it. Lower the opacity a little bit. And I think I'll just kind of glaze in a little bit of a highlight right here. So that front viewing angle looking real good. Shout out to Paint Station Minis. What's up? Oh, that's Holt. What's up? What's up, brother? Have a good time at LVO? Oh, it was so fun. Holt. Okay, let's get this boot. Let's run it back to Bull Power Red for a second. Lower opacity. And again, we're going to go through that saturation exercise where we're going to use the lowered opacity red to kind of just slice in right over our airbrush top coat. And it's going to resaturate anywhere that yellow hit and take on some of those qualities, but it's gonna reshape it to be, redder, while also maintaining some drama. And you see there's like a bunch of burnt red around the corner here, so it's just fading away into that burnt red, and we're able to just kind of like emphasize these fabric folds easier. We're just using heart pull. And the base of the burnt red is just absorbing our red because we also utilized respect when we laid it down, because it wasn't just burnt red, then rinse, reset, go to Bull Pyro. There was that moment when we mixed them together, right? So it just finds those areas and kind of just blends right in. And now you see his boot's a lot redder. Gets more saturation. Now we'll run it back to higher opacity Bull Pyro, some Bull Titanium White. So we're not really adding any excess moisture. We might take a little flow improver from this pile, just put it in our brush. Make sure it's not too wet. Run back to the heart pool and let's just take a second to look at the fabric folds. Right there. Right there. Just try to place them correct. Narfnet? Thank you for the sub, homie. What's up? How do I say your name? Am I saying it poorly? Just using the tip, try to keep that tip angle extreme, run that heart pull. Right there. Now on the knee pad, I feel like I can come down the sides a little bit better. Now I got a little bit of the black gray on his knee pad, like a little speck right here when I painted the whip, so I'll just do an under highlight. Do a stipple right there. So we'll just say he's got a little chip there. No worries. Now we'll let that settle down. Let's move to the side right here. You see that? We got that uniform seam. So it's mostly in shadow, so it's mostly the burnt red. The K is silent. Narf net. Got it. So there's our burnt red. Let's pick up a little Bull Pyro into it. Lower the opacity a little bit, and let's get like a top shelf highlight, which is the bottom side. Using our heart pull, a little bit looser, right? A little bit more water in the paint than normal. It's because it's that cheaty glaze strategy since we have that airbrush already laid down. That helps channel that three-dimensionality of the uniform line. And we went all the way back to burnt red because it's mostly burnt red back here, you see? So that's why we use that back as our base. With a little Bull Pyro mixed in. Same thing, we can go right here. Right there. Keeping it mostly in shadow. Deploying some respect. Let's rinse the brush. My name's still Mud. What's up, man? Let's take some Bull Power Red, lower the opacity, take some of the excess moisture off. Ooh, I rubbed some paint off right there. And we're going to use this to resaturate this part and highlight with just a little filter. Now we're going to take some burnt red, pretty opaque, and we're going to just try to cover that chip with some pretty much raw dog burnt red. Okay, rinse, 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 rinse. J. Duval happened to know if whoever makes this model also makes a Punisher. Marvel Crisis Protocol, baby. Pretty popular game right now. Or gaming popularity. Check them out. They have like 50 models. Okay, so we use some of our white mix, right? So now what we're going to do is just go back, get some of that. Oh, let's rinse that off. Got some red on there. We're going to take our transparent yellow, and we're going to just target lock these highlights that we made them basically pink. And we're just going to warm them back up with a quick filter of yellow right over those, which is a much better strategy than trying to just raw dog yellow. So it's taking on the quality of the white, and you just kind of do that to taste, you know? Be a little bit more. Maybe one more pass. I'm with it. Now back here, let's get back on task back here. So again, we're more in shadow, so respect would tell us, again, to stay in this burnt red territory with some bold pyro in it. And now we can just take a drop of white, which should have a lot more interaction. We're gonna run it back to the heart pull right here. I was a little aggressive. I'm using the tip of my brush, pulling straight back. Staying in control. Rotate. I'm looking for the best strategy here. I'm gonna try to get a line right here. Right there. I'm going to reload the brush because I'm running out. And put a little bit of flow improver on the tip. Make sure it's not too wet. I'm looking for high opacity, low moisture. Oh, gotta reload the brush. Just get that seam. Let's rotate here. Let's get the top of calf. Just to separate it from his muscles. Let's get this outer. He's got like a crash pad in his built into his butt. Running a quick tracer right here. We're going to just lower the opacity a little bit on that. Right there. Probably have to run some black back into this these lines. I'm going to take a little bit more stock bold power red, lowering the opacity. I'm going to stipple in right here. A little bit right here just to give ourselves a little bit of a highlight. Real low opacity. Let that dry for a second. It is like under his arm, so it doesn't need much. Let's rinse it down. Ross, what's up, brother? Thank you for the follow. Let's grab some yellow again, straight transparent yellow. Let's warm up these highlights. Using our heart pull strategy, just kind of repaint them real quick, give them a yellow filter. We have to rebuild some shadows on these ones. I slacked on those when I was initially doing my pin wash. My dude is coming out sick. Okay, I see something I don't like right here. Let's get a little bit more red than yellow right here. A little too yellow. That one little spot. Wow. We haven't done the face. We're saving that for last. But we've got the whole front viewing angle done. Let's rebuild some comic book drama. So I'm going to grab some pure transparent black right here. Just actually have a little bit on the brush. Maybe a touch of flow improver to help it stay wet. We're going to go back into the heart pull position, use the tip of our brush, and rebuild the drama on the, or the darkness right here. I got a little wacky right there. I'm going to have to repair that. We're channeling that straight comic contrast. Right there. Just building muscle definition. What I did, like I said, my line got a little out of whack on that first laydown, so I'm going to have to go back and do a little repair. So we're going to have to run it back to Bold Power Red. This mix up here we made with some white. Keeping it nice and opaque. Maybe this is smarter. Right there. Kind of have to carve back into that black. No problem. Easy peasy. And we are drawing some inspiration from this image, right? You see it's basically just burnt red and bright red and extreme kind of yellow warm highlights, and every shadow is black. So that's kind of like our look. We want that maximum saturation comic book feeling, and we want line perfection, right? So it's very procedural how we're going. Like after we laid the airbrush, it's the way we're going section by section is very procedural. Now I do need to establish some shadows on his leg there. So let's get respectful. Let's grab some burnt red first, which is darker than the real estate. Semi-opaque and just a little wet. That's kind of our first pass. Then we'll add a little transparent black into this watered down red. Semi-opaque and a little wet. Using the heart pull strategy right there. Bring those shadows back in. And we'll leave them more subtle like that than hard comic lines. That's hard to sell on a miniature. Okay. Let's address his boot a little bit better. Let's grab that highlight we were messing with earlier. You don't want to slack on the sole of this boot right here. So we're going to use the heart pull right there. Get that top seam. Get that nice highlight established. And let's warm it back up with a little transparent yellow. And let's also re-warmify this line. Right here. Let's run it back to pure stock burnt red. And let's work against that black line right here and soften it on this plane right there. Just lower the filter, lay the line down. I see one more black line we need to do. Let's go back to transparent black. We got to get a better separator right there between the calf and the boot. Got a little wacky on me again. Gotta slow my stroke game down. Let's get back inside this. There we go. Dramatize the fuck out of that. Let's run back to burnt red. Pair our line right there. I think my line could be a little sharper. So like this is where I'm doing my inspections. I look for that like I said, that line perfection. So here's a little burnt red plus white. Sorry, Bull Pyro plus white. I want a sharper. I just want one last little cling, like right here. Right there. Mostly just using the stipple technique right there. Done. Rinse the brush off. Get the red off the brush. Let's pick up a little bit more yellow. And we're just going to go back to those almost pure white lines that we just deployed. And yellow them up. Right there. So just that cling, cling, cling. Let's get a little bit more black. I noticed I slacked a lot on this boot. Right there. All right. So we got that whole leg done. Both sides. He's looking sick. If anybody just tuned in for the first time, remember to @ me if you have questions. When I glance up, I look at the highlighted chats. Let's spend a few more minutes on this other leg now. Let's run back to the watered down Bull Power Red mix. So just lowering the opacity. I'm about to lift the camera. I'm going to try to gain access to this calf right here under these whips. And we're just sending that red filter right over the top. Using just a nice heart pull. See how instantly that reds that fuck out of that? And it's, you know, we're talking like probably like 10% opacity here is what this red is at. And again, it's the same red we already used. Mixed with the, you know, we started with burnt red, mixed it with Bull Pyro, then we went to Bull Pyro, then we added white, then we sprayed a little yellow. So now we're just going back to the Bull Pyro, lowering the opacity, and just kind of redding up the real estate while still leaning on some of those values we created. Now here you see it's mostly burnt red. So that's why I go back to burnt red first to respect it. Pick up that Bull Pyro, which is brighter. Lower the opacity a little bit. And we're going to just deploy that heart pull, tip of the brush moving straight back to my body. Because this real estate is not primed yet for going super bright to the whites. It's still too much of it is burnt red. So what I'll do is I'll lower the opacity more. Just kind of walk it in. It's a free blend right there. Same thing right here. It's really easy to do when you already have the airbrush laid out. It just blends right in. My man is red on red on red. That's the style we're going for here. There's lots of different interpretations of his gear, but we're going for the interpretation of the red. Everything's red. So the challenge is making the contrast still occur when everything is red, which is fun. Okay, now let's move into more pyro red, right? More the heat ass red right here. Lower the opacity a little bit with some water. Take some of the moisture off. You don't want it to be super wet. Heart pull again. Right there, right there. Shout out to characters I don't know how to read. There we go. Let's move into this right here. We're just going to mainly work the seam. Pow. Beautiful. Okay. So we've got that built up pretty nice. Now what we'll do is we'll take some bold pyro, some white like we've been doing. Like this, just make that kind of pink. Now we're going to try to get a very controlled here using our heart pull strategy. Tip of the brush right here. Right under that seam. Right there. Sorry, it's hard to focus with all these whips in the way. Can you read the name of the last follower? I think you're going worldwide. I cannot read it. I don't know what it means. Shout out to our worldwide follower. Okay, we're going to carefully highlight some of these fabric folds right here using the heart pull strategy, tip of the brush, high opacity, low moisture. Light brush pressure at all times. Now let's lift up. Let's make sure we got it on the back. This is hard to see. Right there. Right there. We're going to use a little tracer and just kind of skitter across these edges right here. right there. So right there, we're just kind of riding that little rail that's on the strap. Hold your breath, swing it from right to left. Now, let's be careful with our mix. Maybe get a little bit more red in there just to be a little bit more respectful. A little flow improver to keep the dry time correct. And let's carefully. Right there. Just hit that seam slightly. And it's under his arm, so it's mostly in shadow there. Let's get the top of the belt. Right there. Now let's run it back here. Let's get a little burnt red. Go Boy says it looks like Korean characters. Yeah, I don't have the skill set to recognize what they are, so I don't want to insult anybody. Right there. Smooth that out. There's a little patch here that I never smoothed out. So I'm going to take a little bit of Bull Power Red, lower the opacity. And let's just work it in right here. Now, I'm going to take Bull Power Red again and work out this line. It's a little crooked. So I'm using the filtering, right? Just a little thin down Bull Power Red. Take some of the excess moisture off your brush. Just kind of filter those down to correct the line shape. Same thing right here. Kind of just blurs them. Now what we'll do is rinse the brush, get all that red off of there. Pick up some of that transparent yellow. And we're going to just warm up these highlights. A little yellow. See right here, there's that yellow. Let's work it out. Just providing heat. He does have some fabric folds. Like I want to ignore them, but I don't feel like I can. So let's grab some black again because I need to rebuild a line anyway. Mo's Magic, am I going to do Bullseye? Probably not. I don't give a shit about that guy. Let's grab some transparent black. Okay. We want to rebuild some of these lines, like right here. Be careful. Heart pull strategy, tip a brush. Open your peepers. Right there. Right there. Right there. Build those lines back in. You see that contrast just pops the fuck out. Now, like I said, there's some fabric folds here. Like, I really want to ignore them, but my body's not letting me. So let's get some burnt red and some black mixed together for the respect. And you'll see right here, there is a, God, it's hard to see, but there is a fold right there. Right there. God, there's one right here too. You can only see it when the light barely hits it. God. It's like right here. Oh, fuck that one. I'm not gonna mess with that one. So subtle. Let's rinse it down. Let's take a tiny bit of highlight, right? So we're gonna take a little. It looks like I looked at it once. Like there's a subtle line there. So I'm gonna take some burnt red, bow power red, and a little white. Let's get to the heart pull. Oh, what is going on here? So that folds above it. Okay. I'm just trying to use my eyes to like really determine if I'm putting this highlight in the correct place, and I think I am. Right here. Pow. Rough turtle. What is meant by quote unquote actually good part in the title? To trigger people and troll them into coming to my channel. Oh, rough turtle. He's like, great success. I'm assuming he was triggered and was trolled into coming to my channel. My clickbait title. Oh yeah, okay, this is what we're on. So let's grab a little transparent yellow. And let's just warm up that highlight. I want a little bit, I see a spot right here. It's showing, oh God, I'm out of focus. See the, right between the knee pad and his leg, it needs another one, it needs a divider. So we need to get another bit of black, this transparent black. Tip of the brush, be real careful, jam it into that little recess. These models are very subtle on their lines. So they're not very washable. I want to put a line in here. So the problem with these models is that they're not made by GW. So a lot of us have GW model experience, and GWs, like one of the things they do the best, Rough Turtle, is they make their models paintable. They spent 30 years working on that. So lines are deeper, edges are sharper. So techniques like washing and dry brushing and edge highlighting even are all easier on a GW sculpt. A lot of boutique miniatures are very beautiful and scaled amazing like these, but they don't have those aggressive paintability elements engineered into them. So if you try to use just like the basic programming that we have for wargaming on these, you're oftentimes not going to be happy with the contrast. Contrast in miniatures just means the dark stuff is really dark and the bright stuff is really bright, and you can see the elements on the model, right? They don't get lost. So that's hard to do when these lines are like, I couldn't even tell there's a fabric fold there until the light hit it just right. GW, nah, that bitch would be bow, and you would have, so a mistake in my opinion using painting Marvel Crisis models is to use like the GW technique. Like let me do a red, let me do a wash. I don't think that's ever gonna give you the result that you want. Yo, Mighty, what's up, man? Red Turtle, who's new here, probably a Marvel Crisis fan, I'm assuming, which rare that we paint Marvel on this channel. I was curious to see, but I actually really like your version. I appreciate that. My version is utilizing maximum contrast concepts, like black lining, which is aggressive, and like line perfect edge highlighting. And also red is tricky innately, and I've got a dozen videos on red. And my Patreon page, if you just type in ultra red, I'm gonna show thousands of ways to red basically. And this one, we used our airbrush to lay down burnt red, built in some bold pyro red. Then we mixed white in, got some highlights, threw a little splash of yellow on, and then we went section by section, utilizing some filter concepts to resaturate these territories after a pin wash, where we manually jammed dark shadows in everywhere. But again, it's more than just putting black in. That's always a mistake. We utilize this concept I teach in my classes called Respect, where we engineered black into our darkest red. I did it a few times, got these lines to be built, and then we just go kind of paint by numbers, section by section. We're only in our third hour of painting this guy, right? So that's another thing, is like a lot of Marvel Crisis fans, I don't think they don't have like the miniature background. So they're looking for shortcuts to paint their models. And a lot of, my man Robbie B on Spiky Bits TV, he uses like speed painting techniques. He uses like Army Painter Speed Painter, Speed Paint. He uses GW contrast paints. And he gets them done quick to, in my opinion, and he's a dear friend of mine for over 11 years, barely passable product based on what I preach as contrast. But if you are like not a miniature wargaming enthusiast and you just want your models to look dope, like to you and be on the table, his technique and his guide is incredible, right? But what I teach is like laser perfect lines, super contrast, maximum saturation when needed. So if you're new to my channel, that's like an explanation of like the difference, And we're even using this as kind of our feeling. This is the feeling I want in my Daredevil, right? I want that every shadow is black. There's only really two reds here with a little yellow warmth, And in my opinion, when you're working with a game system that only has 50 models, I'm going to spend 6 hours on this guy and be beyond happy. It's not like I got 50 guys in my army, Mighty. He says, I barely use washes, to be honest, even on GW models. Yeah, like the all over wash technique is a good cheater shortcut, and if it's done correctly, it'll get you through. It'll get you through the race. But I hardly use the all over wash technique myself. No, I teach it because I think it's pivotal to understand it. Serenity, Hope LVO was ace. It was. Mohawk Miniatures couldn't stop raving about the food. Oh yeah, we went to China Poblano one night together. It was dope. 117 models. Are those including duplicates? Most Magic. And if you're coming over here for Crisis, so like here's the box art, right? And this is why I never get really interested in Marvel models, is because I'm used to a little bit better box art than this, you know. But you can see they're doing the same thing, right? You see they got the black lines, top shelf highlights to emphasize three-dimensionality. You see, they're doing almost exactly what I'm doing. You see. They're putting the lines almost in exactly the same place as I am. Major difference is that they weren't willing to go to pure black and really define the musculature. So I kind of cheated out how jacked he is. You see? So my guy looks shredded. You see? And I made sure that my lines are all tight. Where like this line's a little fat here. This line just stops suddenly. You see? So I'm getting that comic feeling off of mine, which is like line perfection, you know. That's always been my style. Couple of duplicates: Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Widow. Mighty just bought Deadpool. Can't wait till it gets here. Hell yeah. Serenity, is that cell shaded? No, it's not cell shading. Like cell shading, there's no blends. It's a collection of solid colors. There's plenty of blends on this. Serenity, mine makes the mini quality look much better than the box art does. Yeah, because the mini quality is dope. They're just not easy to paint. They don't have that paintability that GW models have. So of the box art, I think it's probably a deliberate choice to not have it look like this, because if like you're advertising to a market that is kind of like medium level war gamers, and you show them this and they get those models, they're not gonna be able to do this. So they're always gonna feel like buyer's remorse, you know. But I think the box art is deliberate in its effort to recruit fans. But for me, being a long-time war gamer, when I see the box art, I'm like, eh. But every time I've been forced to paint one of these, I'm like, these are actually really fucking tight. Donovo Gatto, what's up, man? So, enough of that long-winded explanation of not painting. Let's move. So we're happy with this now. So what we're down to is his back. Okay, we gotta get through this ridiculous whip situation. And so there's a lot of round muscle bellies in the back, so that can always be a little trickier, so you just gotta be on your game. So what we'll do is we'll just take a quick second to reinforce the black lines, because I'm probably gonna fuck it up a little bit, which is fine because when I go back into edge highlight, I'll be able to repair it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to sneak in here with some straight up black. Using the tip of my brush, trying to get through this fucking whip. Heart pull strategy, pull back to your body. It's always easier. Light brush pressure. See, I'm getting a little out of the lines here. That's okay, because I know I can visualize how I'm going to repair that. Now, this is where we're being deliberately exaggerative. You see, there's muscle here, And we are now becoming like the comics, where we're going to make sure he's ripped beyond belief. The muscles are there. I'm not really making them up. What I'm doing is exaggerating them through this shadow. And I'm getting a little fat on some of these lines, but that's, like I said, I have to repair it. And it's highlighted anyway. So I'm gonna get a little bit darker, a little bit more harsh here. I'm kind of breaking my rules with that stroke. He does have fucking fabric folds straight across his back, which is awesome. God damn it. Now, on top here, we've got stuff we never really completed from the front angle. So I need to just reinforce some of these black lines. Right there. Right there. And I want to see if I can get how deep I can get in here. Okay. So now those lines are not perfect. They're not line perfect yet, but they will be. They will be. Push Motive, thank you for the resub, brother. 11 months back to back. Now I think we have some new people in here who are coming in from Marvel. When I'm painting, you're gonna want to @ me so it highlights, because I don't read the ones that aren't highlighted. Sealy the Sea Lion, Miles Morales. It was quite fun for me. I don't even know who that is. Mighty, who's my favorite Marvel character I've painted? I've only done 2. I did Thanos and this guy so far. Tyranrin. What's up, brother? Okay, so now what we gotta do is that resaturation strategy, right? So what we're gonna do is make sure there's no black on our brush. Steve, what's up, man? Thanks for the follow. Grab a little water, grab a little of that Bold Power Red. Right, we're gonna water it down a little bit so it's less opaque. Take some of the moisture off. And what we're gonna do is just kind of move in and just kind of resaturate some of this red up here with a very low opacity filter. And it's just gonna blend perfectly because I've said it before, these are the same reds we airbrushed. Like, it's already here. It's just, we're just ramping up the opacity and resaturating it. See, I'm kind of going slice by slice now, and this gives me a chance to kind of fix my black lines. Using a lot of stippling stroke, a little sewing machine action right here. And it's probably like, 10% opaque. Okay. And what that lets us do now is kind of define the shapes in there. So what I'll do is I'll kind of tilt it like this. Kind of peer through his whips. Pick up some more of that red, and there's like a triangle right here. I'm going to work this. Leave some of the shadow intact. I'm going to keep working bow power up here. And I'm just going to kind of stipple around and kind of create muscle belly shapes. Leaving some of the shadow behind. Keeping it subtle. Here. And there's like lumbar. I'm going to load up a little bit more bow pyro. Get a little bit more water. Lower the opacity more. Miles Morales is the black and red Spider-Man. Have you not watched Into the Spider-Verse? No, I have not. Just going to send a little bit of stippling right here. That top shelf of that lumbar. Run back to the top. And let's just do it again. To really just max it out here in the part where more light would be. I want to get this kind of center mass on these shapes. And a little bit more here. So using that to smooth out our black lines and also resaturate the real estate. It makes it more red. Right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to slice in those highlights. Okay? So we'll take the Bold Power Red. And what makes everything brighter? White. So what we want is we want to be more opaque and less wet. So we're going to keep it pretty much in its natural state. Put a little flow improver on my brush to help with the dry time. And now this is where we're going to get careful. So I got to find the correct way to hold this. And so I'm going to use the tip of my brush and pull straight back. Do a little line right here. Okay. Rotate. Right there. Rotate. Pull back to my heart. And that's creating that three-dimensionality, right? By highlighting the bottom shelf, you're emphasizing the three-dimensionality of these shapes. And we are being disrespectful. We're going very bright. It's very, so you just want to be on top of your shit. Find the correct posture. Link your pinkies together or whatever you need to do. And try to orient the model so you can find a way to gently pull straight back. Got a little on his whip. I'm going to have to touch up that whip later. We did a quick airbrush job on it, but I know I'm going to have to do it again. So right here, I want to get the top shelf on this muscle group right here. My initial touch was a little thick. That's okay. You can't even see through that whip. That whip is so obnoxious. Like down here. So here, this is important. So like the back, the lower back, we need to get a nice crispy line right there. So I'm just going to make sure, I'm going to take a second to curate a good mix. And this is going to probably get fucked up because I have to get really low an angle here. Rotate. Right there. So you see that helps generate some of that three-dimensionality. Now on the seam, okay, I need to get right here too. There's another spot. So right here, we need to drop a little bit of this love. Like right there. And we also need to do like the outer perimeter of his uniform seam, which is gonna suck. Actually, we also need to do right here, look. Never hit that spot. Hit that seam. Okay, reload the brush, don't fight it. When it's not transferring, just stop for a second. You want light brush pressure, you never want to have to push hard to do this. So So those are really harsh, and those lines are not all perfect. Okay. But what we're going to do is kind of clean them up and blur them out a little bit. Most Magic Into the Spider-Verse is pretty darn good. I should put it on my list for sure. Yeah, everyone I've ever talked to says that. Haven't watched it. Okay, so we got to do a little cleaning here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the Bold Power Red again, just our nice bright red, lower the opacity substantially, lots of water, take some of that water off, and we're just going to kind of stipple in up against our bright line we just made, and kind of just blur it down. Make sure our line shape is desirable. The thing is, it's not going to erase the highlight. It's barely has any opacity in it. Anywhere I feel like my line shape is a little wacky, because I'm not just trying to make skinny lines, I'm trying to make like nice, well-shaped, tapered lines. Call that the glaze edit strategy. I teach it in my curriculum. You're able to go back and edit your highlights to be perfect. So you don't need to get bogged down in real time. Just blurring the line slightly. And so that just straight smooths out those lines. You see, like it's like now we're like some awesome blending guy. Like, oh, look how well I blended that shit. Stoppy Jones, I haven't done the whip yet. Now, you have not missed it. So now what we're gonna do is warm those highlights up. Okay, rinse all the red off your brush. Let's pick up the transparent yellow. Oh, still too much red on my brush. I'm not trying to go in with an orange. I'm trying to go in with a yellow. So this is just straight transparent yellow. And now we're just going to attack the highlights. It doesn't have enough opacity to do much to the red, but where it catches those white lines, it will heat them up to a more yellow position. And you just want to lay it down, move on, let it dry. So you get that comic style, right? Where those extreme highlights are, you know, moving into yellows. Getting through that fucking his whip nunchuck is like straight disaster. So now we've got pretty nice. We haven't done the helmet is our last thing we're gonna do. So we've got we got torso, legs, front viewing angle looks great. Looks sick from here. Looks sick from there. You can see his back now through the whip, but I have to come back and re-airbrush the whip, which I always knew I was gonna have to do. I have to say, like from this angle, the only thing that needs a little work is probably this boot. So before we do a whip session, let's just grab a little white, little red. Let's run a quick Tracer technique. Let's run the side of our brush. High opacity, low moisture right here. And just ride the rail. Hold your breath swinger from right to left. And so this technique is super easy. See this spot right here where I'm rubbing off paint and primer. Like I'm having to like cradle them so much in my hands. I've like rubbed all this paint and primer off here. Rinse the brush. Sunshine Grenadier, what's up, brother? Yo, so we're back into it. We're going to do a whip session, exclamation point whip. If you're new here, jump in the Discord. Let's take a look at what you're working on. Let's take a little yellow and yellowify that line like we are doing to every line on this model. Heat it up. And we'll do our whip, come back and paint the face. And here's our inspiration. Again, all those yellow extreme lines, really solid black shadows. Red on red on red. That's our life. Now, any of my Marvel Crisis Protocol people who just tuned in, exclamation point whip, join the Discord server. You can throw up anything you're working on. We'll take a look at it here together as a community. Comments and criticisms are available. If you are interested, level of detail. What's up, man? This is, as the meme goes, I don't know what yo dogs are, and at this point, I'm afraid to ask. Exclamation point info. Point system. You're earning points for watching. You could redeem those points and get swag bags. Frozen Hobbit, are you glazing a yellow over the pink highlights? Yeah. Frozen Hobbit, I feel you. And any of my Marvel people. So this is the only other Marvel model I've ever painted. Thanos. And again, he's easier because his proportions are large, but we're using the same stuff. The same shit we're doing on Daredevil. Except because since he's so much bigger and his muscle bellies are so much broader, I'm able to... And also, in Daredevil's canon, he's red. He's like dark red. Period. So like, if you go on too much of a journey there, it doesn't feel like Daredevil. I'm like pushing it, you know? But Thanos can be like dark blue all the way to sky blue and white, and like based on reflections and stuff. It doesn't matter. So I'm authorized to be far more dramatic with the transitions. And since he's so much bigger, I can do a lot more with the airbrush. And then by using these like little adjustments, these glaze edits we're doing, I'm able to make sure each muscle belly has its own sense of drama, black line the separators, top highlight the shelves, just like Daredevil, but because his canon allows for me to be more dramatic, I was. And because he's bigger, he's easier. So he took more time, because also we went with the non-metal metallic effect on a lot of stuff. But ultimately, difficulty level wasn't that bad. But he was a fun model to paint. And again, here's a model that, you know, based on the box art, I didn't think was that tight. Turns out he's really fucking tight. Desaturated with some yellows and stuff. So this is where we're going to go back to the Bold Power Red. Pick some of that up. And the whole airbrush composition was just these two paints. Little white got engineered in, a little yellow. But we're going to lower the opacity, which is this water puddle, of our Bold Power Red. And we're going to get the opacity pretty low. And we're going to take some of that moisture off. And we're going to carefully... See, there's those lines. We're going to work the... This is tricky. We're going to use the heart pull strategy here first. And we're going to work off the left side like this. And we're just going to work from left to right off that wet edge. And we're going to deploy this filter. A bow power red. And it's going to red up. Talon, my dude. Money is never a bad thing. Facts. Oh, I missed. There's two. Sorry. It's Frozen Hobbit and Talon. The bot's gonna shit on somebody. Double Zangief. That's my favorite GIF on the internet, son. I'm gonna get some strong man love in the chat for both Frozen Hobbit and Talon. Thank you guys for your support. Let's see who the bot is gonna choose to shit on. I'm gonna say it's gonna shit on Talon. Frozen Hobbit says, I could not make heads or tails of glazing until I stumbled on your content. Thank you for explaining to me like I was 5. I got your back, dog. I wish everyone would explain everything to me at all times like I was 5. Oh, they both got curated. Oh, the bot is on its game. Talon, Frozen Hobbit, thank you. Now you see how much more beautiful that top of the helmet is now. Now we're gonna just run back. Let's just reset. Get some of that lower opacity red. Take some of that excess moisture off. Now with a small brush like this, you can just kind of dab it like that. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're going to the heart pull strategy and we'll just do some 3D printer lines like this. Working that wet edge straight down, light brush pressure, and it's gonna deploy a little filter right over his reds that may be desaturated slightly, but it's more saturated now. Look at that, pow! Now he does have those uniform lines on his helmet. I think I'm gonna try to, before I get into the highlight game, I think I'm gonna take a quick side quest to define them more. Clum of Veric, thank you for the follow. Let's get the black or the red off. Bot drink raw boner pills this morning. Bot drink it's, oh my god, this guy. Talon, you're fucking ridiculous. Talon, I'm gonna take some transparent black, and I'm gonna try to, since I'm about to go into the highlighting, which can be my eraser, I want to definitely see if I can carefully drag some more black in that uniform line. And it already got too fat. It's super tricky. The line is very subtle, but it's there. And I'm constantly rotating the model looking for those straight lines. You see, got a little out of the line there. No worries, I knew that was going to happen. Under the helmet, right there. Stippling right there. And like I said, I knew that was a high risk move, which is why I did it now. Going for that comic book exaggeration. Okay, rinse that brush. Get that black off of it. Now we got to deploy some sick highlights. And this will also be our eraser tool. So here on the side of his helmet, what we're going to do is grab a little Bull Power Red. Maybe lower the opacity a little bit. A little bit of moisture here. And we're going to try to drag a nice top highlight, a top shelf highlight right here. Tip of the brush. I feel like it might be too wet. Heart pull. Just a nice subtle indicator right there. We're going to hit this edge too. And we haven't engineered any white into it yet. We're just building it with respect right now. So you see we've got the beginning, the foundation of those highlights right now. Let's move over here. I find this side to be a little trickier because of the way I have to brace my finger. So I've lowered the opacity a little bit more on this side to kind of help with me fucking up preemptively. Just dragging it in for a better like fuzz line right there. So now I'm going to go with more opacity, less moisture. Right there. Right here in his cheeks. Let's see if we can just kind of stipple in a couple of highlights there using the red. Just building some nice ghost highlights. See, that black line is still heinous right there. So here on top, I need to kind of erase it a little bit. So we're gonna use Bold Power Red again up top. Just to fix some of that black line. We're going to lower the opacity again. We're doing another glaze. To generate more pop, more red. Right here. So that was more watered down. Oh, I see what happened here. Okay. So I kind of got fully out of balance on this line right here. It's like what? The line shape doesn't look correct to me. There we go. That's what happened. I see now. It's like I kind of just put the black line in kind of in the wrong channel toward the end there. And so I'm just softening that through like kind of a eraser strategy. Okay. Talon says, how am I stabilizing that nunchuck rope while painting it? This, I just airbrushed it. Like, and it's plastic, so it's pretty sturdy. Just be careful. Okay, so let's get some. Let's begin the headache. My man, Chaos Kev, the man, the myth, the legend. As always, tight tips. That makes sense. Yo. Chaos Kev, thank you so much, brother. Could I get some strongman love in the chat for my boy Chaos Kev? Chaos Kev, I'm just embedding some flow improver into my brush. Let's pluck out some white. Let's pluck out some red. Let's get this highlight established here. So this is brighter because I put white in it. I'm going to take my time here to really... I expect to fuck this up, though, because of the access point is kind of tricky. So let's try to get our best angle. For our heart pull right there. Okay. Just reset the brush. And like I said, I expect some of those lines to be kind of chewed up. But that's okay, because I'll glaze them down. Like I can tell because of the roundness and the access that it's going to be a bit of a back and forth process. Right there. Really trying to use the tip. Some stipples. We're just kind of going with the flow, right? It's sculpted already, so I'm just hitting the things that look like they need to be brighter. Jay Duvall, 18 months back to back, my man. And just using that tip. So he's got some stuff going on up here. Just using the heart pull to highlight those. Let's get these devil horns slightly highlighted on the tops. Now let's go for like round 2. I'm gonna get a little bit more white. I'm gonna try to do some tricky shit here. Ugh. It's drying on my tip before I can even get it to the model. Sometimes it does that. Little flow improver on the tip. There's a little hair sticking off my brush. Fuck that one up. Instantly fuck that up. Okay, no worries though. Like I said, don't worry about it. Still haven't even done our edits yet. Little stipples. Right there. Okay, let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can jump into some editing. So let's grab some full power red, lower the opacity, take some moisture off. Kind of just stipple up against that white border and just subtly blur it out. So it's giving it a nice filter of red. We're able to focus on curating how deep our line actually penetrates. So I've got like first wave of highlights. I gotta throw some down on the horns. J Duval, Chaos Kev. I'm gonna go in and try to pop a couple of these lines out again. I'm gonna try to just do a stipple here. That's more white. And I'm kind of engineering that for the yellows. Because now I have that line built, I should be able to just kind of stipple into it. Right there. Already got one there. Now, it's a little tricky because there's some places I'd like to throw some shadows too on his face. But I'm nervous that it'll get away from me. So I'm going to do it now because I haven't done any of our yellows yet. So I'm going to take some burnt red and black to respect it. Lower the opacity a little bit. And so I want to just throw a little right there. Let's get into his eyes real quick. Let's rinse that off. See if we can get a speck of pure white. God damn. Eyeballs are tiny. Trying to get right on his eye lens. So that way I can get his eyeballs actually defined. That is tricky, tricky. There we go. That one did not come out good. And I'm not trying to do pupils or anything. I'm just trying to make them bitches white. Okay, good enough for now. Okay, so let's go back and warm up these highlights. Transparent yellow. We're just taking a little moisture, but mostly stock yellow. And we're going to just paint our highlights back in. The filter of yellow. That's the first sheet, right? Look at all these horns. Stipples right there. Looking good. All right, I think I can get away with that. Now let's do something we haven't done yet. So I painted his little pupils white, and I could just glaze red over because it is red on red, right? His shit's red. But I feel like this is where Gray Opportunity is a little transparent red for the first time on this model, which has magenta in it. It's 50% magenta. So I think this would be fun to throw this into the eye holes. So here's the transparent red up here. Throw plenty of water in it to lower the opacity. Barely see these motherfuckers' eyes. What I may do though is I think I'm going to be a little bit creative here, and I'm going to take some white into the transparent red. Just define like a little highlight on his cheeks. Feel like that was unnecessary. It's fine. Okay. Let's do his fucking jaw. So it's funny, you notice how like it's almost already skin tone because of all the reds. Pretty interesting, right? And I probably can use mostly what's on my palette to make it skin, which is what's crazy. So you see how it's already almost sellable? So that's the burnt red you're looking at with yellow. Yo, almost done for work for the day, Kelsky. Thank you so much, Kelsky. Check it out, Kelski. Burnt red and bold pyro red and yellow and white are kind of what you're seeing that makes it almost look like skin. And look at this. So when I put more yellow and white in, that's almost stock like elf flesh. Interesting, right? You can even use some of the transparent red if you want to get some pink in there. And so we already did, it's already got the definition in there, and it's made of these paints already. So I can just do the same thing we've been doing. Okay? I'll use the same paints that we already used. No new flesh tone. And I'll carefully paint the nose. Paint some of the jaw. Lowered the opacity. Just send it right in over the red. Oh my God, was I fully out of focus like a hobo the whole time? God damn it. Yell at me next time. So all that wasted. Sorry, guys. I just scraped it over his features. Semi-opaque. And even his skin is chemically composed of the same yellow, same white, same burnt red, same fucking bold power red that every other part of this model is painted in. Just more yellow and white. And the only difference is I put like a speck of transparent red in it for some pinkening. And we've left much of the burnt red intact. Okay? And now what we can do is back to our little puddle. Add more white. More yellow. Take a little bit of that transparent red for pinkening. Some stipple. Maybe a little bit more white. Oh, I gotta move my palette out of the way. I gotta rotate the model. Get a little water, maybe. And all we did was like touch paint to the red that was already there. Now, let's redefine some borders real quick. Here's our black. Right there. defining that jawline or the jaw strap. This one's gonna suck. Right there. Right there. To put that hard line in under the mask for that shadow.
It's so damn hot.
Sunshine Grenadier, the legend.
Who's a bad choice?
What's up, brother? Look at some strong man love from my boy right there, Sunshine Grenadier, coming in with that legendary support. What's up, homie? Have we worked on skin together yet as an effect? I teach the effect. Now, if you want to get a little bit more bright in there, you can. You just go whiter. If you want to make anything pop a little bit more, but I'm happy with it. Like I feel like the face is totally fine for highlights. Like it's just like a millimeter of exposed skin. And I feel like we can see everything we need to see on it now. So what I think I'm going to do though is grab the burnt red, the bold pyro red, and white. Okay. And let's put in a harder line right there. Right there. Rinse that off. Get all that off of there. Sunshine Grenadier, thank you so much, brother. This is Daredevil looking sick. Take some bold pyro red. Lower the opacity. This is our brighter red. Let's just kind of glaze a little bit in right here. Tight. Rinse it down. Take a little bit of transparent yellow. And as always, let's warm that line up. There we go. So Daredevil's body looking good. And all we have to do is like a second repair airbrush of the rope. No problem. We got to paint the actual, these dealies right here. And they're going to be done much the same way we've been doing everything else. Where we basically just, God, these are going to suck. I'm trying to be ghetto with these. I'm gonna take some burnt red. God, how annoying are those fucking things? It's just really that one. So we got to make that one look good, like the rest of them. And it's a cylinder, so you got to do it from all viewing angles. So some wet Bull Pyro red right here. Goddamn. What a fucking pain in the dick. Take some burnt red. While it's still a little wet. Just kind of build that in. And then we're gonna have to I'm about to like lay it down or something to really edge highlight them. Like that's just gonna be a pain in the absolute fucking dick. I might paint that one off camera because that's so hard to film. This one right here, we can just do it normal. We'll do some glazing. Right there. Take some of the white and the red. Right there. Rinse it. Before we get too far into the paint job, go back to the black. Right there. Rinse it. 3.5 minutes left. Let's get a little bit more white and red. Let's rotate to this angle. Let's work a little tracer. Oh, can I? God, what a pain in the dick. Rinse it. Let's go back to the Bull Power Red, Mo's Magic. Lower the opacity. Just gonna fuzz that line. Right there. Let that dry for just a split second. Mo's Magic, you like it? Like, Mo's Magic's a fan of Marvel Crisis. Red on red on red on red. Mo's Magic, were you here for the skin? Even the skin, we used literally the same yellow, white, reds to make the skin tone. Everything is the same reds. Okay, yellow. Mo's Magic's been here the whole time. Here we go. So I still got to do this one. I'll do that one off camera because, like I said, it's a pain in the fucking ass. And I'm going to have to get another project sorted because all I got to do here is just pull the airbrush out for 10 seconds and fix the fucking cord. And then paint this base in like 20 minutes. Tops. So I might just complete him on the webinar, the webcast on Thursday. The base. Because, like, you know, we can't dedicate a 3-hour show to 20 minutes of work. You know what I mean? He is fucking sick, though. There we go. Second Marvel Crisis Protocol model ever. With 55 seconds left today. Thank you guys for your support. Frozen Hobbit, even the hobo paper has the same rides. It does. War Pigment, so the list. We might have to go back to the list. Not a Pain Scientist, thank you so much. 18 seconds left. Thank you guys for supporting me so much. I've had a joy painting this. And I hope this illustrates how in like 4 painting hours, while explaining what I'm doing while I'm doing it, we got this result. Not the speed paint result. How much time are you really saving? Not doing it this way.
Uh-oh. You gotta get swifty. Oh, yeah. Take off your pants and your panties. Shit on the floor.
Brickwall Studios says, thanks for taking the time to answer and explain my questions. Appreciate you kicking it with us, homie. Thank you. I dedicate myself to this type of content. Appreciate the validation. But yeah, you know, a lot of people are into like just, you know, roughing them in. That's fine. If you're like, this is your first experience being a miniature painter, you know, this is a lot. This represents like most of my curriculum. The 101 plus the 201. So a lot of my students are capable of doing this. But like, if you don't have a good foundation on like moisture manipulation, it's going to be tricky. You know what I'm saying?